Hi everyone. This video that I've made is just a bunch of clips from a few different videos. It links science to God, literally. The Egyptian pyramid is a gift to mankind from God, literally. I don't know anyone else that can tell anyone to put in stone how a plasma sacred knowledge will dewind and rewind matter and allow you to have space travel and force fields and teleportation, atomic element synthesis, everything I've been trying to tell you guys about. And we are in a spiritual war, quite literally, and our governments are literally satanic. Go figure. And I hope you enjoy this video. I would encourage you to watch it to the end. It's got some important points in it. But you can learn everything I've learned by going to Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. Go to the live stream section and look at all the O-Day videos. Go through those. I've watched hundreds of hours of this research and been over the last couple of years. And it is significant research. This is the biggest discovery in mankind's history, and our governments know all about it, but they're too busy trying to make cash on our backsides. And they've got plans to wipe us all out, and then they can live in their own little paradise, worshipping Satan while they've gotten rid of us. It has the ability to create storms. It has the ability to create earthquakes, to destroy planets. And the pyramids can actually terraform a planet. Like I've been saying, it is connected to UFO technology, or propulsion is a better word. And what I've learned goes back into my own ancestry, to King Solomon. And it's incredible, is all I can say. And I've had a very difficult life. But it seems to be that was the price of admission fee to be part of this incredible plasma experiment and physics breakthrough that I can only implore you guys to look into further. I hope I haven't left any important bits out. I don't think so. Bob's putting his career on the line, telling you people about what I've learned. And I've been caused of many dramas just by promoting this. I was already getting satanic ritual abuse from my ancestry anyway. Look, this is a crazy world, and if you don't know nothing about satanic ritual abuse, I implore you to look at it. Look it up. Look at Fiona Barnett, Australian woman who took the Australian government to court. Look at Bohemian Grove, Freemasonry and Satanism. They're all linked. And child holidaying in traffic. It's all linked by this crazy satanic class of people that rule our world. So please enjoy and open your minds a little bit and understand that God is real. And I'm not a religious nut, not even a little bit. But I hope this can encourage you to look more deeply into God, because I have no doubt myself. Anyway, enjoy.
Scary part of the video, my remote viewing says something serious is going to happen, and we have to try and avert it between in 2032 to 2033, 2034. I don't know. It's in the early part of 2030s. Now, with this technology, 100% certainly, in my mind, they can change the weather. So do not believe anything that is trying to get you to do something because of so-called climate change, right? It can cause earthquakes, and it can cause volcanoes. So do not believe those things are necessarily real. The problem with the volcanoes and earthquakes, they tend to look a little bit ridiculously big, right? And they have signatures, okay, that are a little bit weird. So they're the ones to look out for. There will always be earthquakes, okay, all right. You want to kind of be living in a non-earthquake zone, somewhere where they might want to put an oil gas pipeline, but you'd have to use other methods to destroy infrastructure there. Okay, so this is not a game. Now, if you go and look at the JFK archives, Kennedy says we basically know how to control the weather. That is before he was shot, obviously. And it's in beautiful quality, him saying that. And you've got the defense secretary of Clinton saying that many nations, or nations, do have geological weapons and they are using them. Now, if he's willing to admit that, you can bet your bottom dollar that America also has geological weapons. But he's also saying other countries have them, right? So these are unconventional weapons. They are mentioned in the 1986 book of Tom Bearden. He goes through them, but the understanding of how they actually work is the same understanding that gives us unlimited energy and frees us. Now, do you want them just to have the power to subjugate you? Is that what you want? Some phony reason to euthanize a load of people? Some phony reason to pretend the world is, ending and blah, blah, blah? No. We have to do this for ourselves. They are not going to do it for us. They want us dead. They want a utopia where they get all the benefits of this technology, but you're not there. Okay? All right? So the last part of my breakdown of this Tesla photo really settles the debate on this technology. Okay, so I don't know whether it's still available on the CIA's website. Okay, but here it is. Now, with the experiments we've witnessed and the ash we've analyzed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's talking about flying saucers and that they know, and they talk about superconducting high temperature superconductors and that they've done that. And then so we have a Muhammad's tomb here. This is a railgun type effect. And then, for example, in order to ascend in the geomagnetic field of our planet, it is necessary to create an incredibly strong magnetic intrinsic field around the saucer. Yet this is far from simple even with superconductors. But let us assume that it is possible by some means. How shall we then move in space? Well, there is a special problem with magnetic fields there. The vehicle must be equipped with additional sustainer engines, and enthusiasts were explaining away this, of course, and yes, it's a way out. Yet, would the game be with candles? Blah, blah, blah. In other words, for reasons easy to understand, many experts thought such methods of travel would be rather hypothetical than real, and then they found a solution, a simple one, as a solution should be. An experimental unit, a fast electron flux. An experimental unit, a fast electron flux. It emerges from an accelerator and speeds past superconducting model, so the Muhammad's tomb instantaneously jumps to the side. Even the eye cannot see its swift motion. Now, imagine a real space vehicle. Its airframe is covered with high temperature superconductor. This is not necessary. This is just like faking it, okay, in my view. Fast electron emitters are blah, 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 blah. Okay, right. Now, then they talk about cold fusion down here. No, blah, blah, blah. But bearing in mind this is in 1992, and they say that this is related to cold fusion. I won't disclose all the secrets, Shebetnik says, but we will give you a hint that the new superconductor can be based on plain iron. The trick is in the energy order of the remaining element position. Okay, but what kind of fuel are you going to use to get into space? Will you put a nuclear fusion reactor in the space vehicle, or will you turn to energy of the vacuum? They imply it is the same process as in cold fusion. Neither one of these things. So, they've not got a nuclear or fusion, so that's fission or fusion, and it's not energy from the vacuum. Neither one of these. Vasily Dmitrievich responds. Do you recall another sensation which was trumpeted roughly at the same time as high-temperature superconductivity? It was reported that the so-called cold fusion was discovered in the United States. Then this phenomenon was replicated in many laboratories throughout the world. That it was replicated yet again could not be explained. And why? Simply because they were trying to find the features of fusion reactors where they couldn't be found. I remember these experiments vividly. I even observed one of those at Moscow State University. Now, Shishkin did those experiments. Right? And he talked about them in the video that I shared when they were talking about strange radiation in early 2018 after Yuri Bazhatov died. A jar with a heavy water, 2 live electrodes, and all of a sudden additional heat, as if from nowhere, as if its source is, and if its source is not cold fusion, then what it is? We call this phenomenon energy conversion, and the jar itself is a primitive converter model. Water boils in it. Using the scientific language, we are dealing with in a phase transition. Yet, in this case, the water particles are moving in an orderly fashion due to the electric field. And in such cases, according to our theory, phase transitions result in increasing energy release. The gain is sometimes 2.12 to 4.2 times greater than the work spent. Wait a second. Blah, blah, blah. Are you talking about perpetual motion? No. We are talking about extracting the inner energy of the matter. And can it be used in any way? Be my guest. You can even design power plants instead of the traditional ones. Yet, I must repeat that it would be an extremely primitive one boiling water. And of course, such converter is not suitable for space flights. We have already found an electrical analog of the process during which energy conversion occurs, Shebeknik continues, and it can be extracted not from water, but from, say, metal. Suppose you plug our converter into an electric generator, so on the output you produce 4 times as much energy as it can generate operating in a traditional fashion. You use 1/4 of that for your generating power supply, and the remainder is available for you as a gift from the microcosm. Okay. Yet, in reality, of course, everything is a lot more complicated. In essence, the energy converter consists of several simultaneously operating devices. Its principal elements are a closed... So, here we go. Its principal elements are a closed superconductor. A closed superconductor. In my view, it's this closed superconducting structure. We know that the Lockheed Martin patent says it produces solitons, right? Like this. That is a soliton, okay? And we know that it is superconducting because it's coherent of electrons. That is what they say. And this is what produces it. According to it, its principal elements are closed superconductor, and a control system. This is for terrestrial needs. But the electron accelerator connected into the circuit turns the converter into a space propulsor. Using it, one can reach Alpha Centaurus and return back to Earth in 12 years. There you go. I wasn't making it up. Using it, one can reach Alpha Centaurus and return back to Earth in 12 years. Have you been able to replicate this process, at least experimentally? Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you anything. In our estimates, the energy concealed in 1 kilogram of iron is quite sufficient for an interstellar journey. Okay? And then I have this lovely image of matter collapse in a John Hutchison system. Okay? I'll play it for you. Why not? Note it's twisting. That's important. It would be twisting because it's going into a vortex, right? So, there you have it. I would say you put your iron in here. This is your closed superconducting structure, and it produces this beam, and in the center of the beam, it extracts the hidden energy in the matter. And they are stating very categorically that they got it working, and they've tested it, and it works, right? And 1 kilogram, the energy concealed in 1 kilogram of iron is quite sufficient for an interstellar journey. And using this, you could get 2 Alpha Centauri back in 12 years. Okay, I will include the link to this on the blog for today. And this was from 1992. There's an article by Vladimir Lagovsky. So this is at the end of the Cold War. There we go. Have any choice at this stage? So before going too much detail into that, I want to talk about the most important text in the Hindu faith, and that's the Bhagavad Gita. And one of its most important learnings is on expectation. And now I did write a blog, but I hadn't finished writing it yesterday. I thought I'd better get on with what I'm going to talk about today. But what you can see there in the sort of Sanskrit type Hindi writing there is from chapter 2, verse 47. And it says, you have only right to thine actions, never to the fruits. Let not the fruits of action be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. So what that is saying there is that you have the right to do things. Nay, you have the duty to do things that you should do, but you have no right to expect a particular return for those acts. You shouldn't only do something because those acts you expect to give you some fruit, something coming back to you. You should just do them. And if you didn't think you were going to get the fruits, then you shouldn't let that stop you doing what you can do. I.e., because you're not going to get paid, you don't do what is possible. And I will, in my blog, when I finished it, probably early part of next week, I will talk about the various experiences in my life that taught me this lesson, and why some people just don't understand why I do what I do. We are in a spiritual war right now. And the little g, the God's toolbox, is being used against us. It was clear in 2017 that had already been the case, and that they would stop at nothing to prevent this technology from coming to the fore. Right now, the inflation was announced yesterday or the day before in the Czech Republic has reached 23%. 23%. Your money halves in short order, like within a year and a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, when you have inflation at that high. There's all kinds of places shutting up shop. Okay? And essentially it comes down to one act of state terrorism. That is the blowing up of the Nord Stream pipeline. But what happened this last week is of deep, deep concern to me, because it shows the game that is afoot. What am I talking about? I am talking about this. Now, sometimes when you hear of a so-called natural event, you think, oh, isn't that sad? Isn't it terrible? Let's send some money. Let's help them out. And you know where that natural event was? It was here. A major interchange of oil and gas pipelines coming out of Iraq and co-fed to terminals from Iran and from the Caspian Sea. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. If they cut off these pipelines that go up to, that they are the feed into southern Europe and up through Romania and feeds into other pipelines. If they cut off these pipelines, 23% will look like the good days. I'm a little bit annoyed right now. I'm a little bit annoyed. I've already spoken at length how this could occur. It's in here in this book that was written by Thomas Bearden in 1986. 1986. This is the 2002 edition. And it talks about it. Here's Khrushchev's second demonstration in 1963, my friends. In 1963, they have photos of it. Photos of it, yes. Yes, photos of it, right? Deep underwater electromagnetic explosion on the 11th of April, 1963. And he says it's electromagnetic, but it's a deep underwater nuclear burst, demonstrating some water phenomenology produced by Khrushchev's second demonstration. Khrushchev's first large, full-up, strategic, longitudinal electromagnetic wave energetics interferometer weapon became operational on-site by April 1st, 1963. A few days later, Khrushchev employed it to kill the USS Thresher atomic submarine underwater off the east coast by US by simply creating electromagnetic noise in an interference zone placed on, in, and around the sub underwater, and thus jamming the sub's electrical controls so that it could not be controlled. The helper sub sank to crush depths and imploded. The USS Skylark on the blah blah blah. That is doing something through sea around the planet. But he goes on and talks about how the electromagnetic weapons progressed to being able to trigger earthquakes. And he gives specific examples of earthquakes that were triggered and how they go about to a degree. So it is with great dismay that I read this, which I'm going to get for you. Now, I can't read it all because there are laws in the Czech Republic that say that if I read certain things that this politician said, I can face 3 years in jail. But this here is Senator Diana Livanovici, and she is, if I've got the name right, she is a Romanian senator. Okay, and I need to be careful which bit I read. Okay, I go and look for the full transcript of this, I urge you. 150 aftershocks of a devastating earthquake, the second larger than the first, without the existence of an epicenter. The area being artificially stimulated. Geological weapons having existed for a very long time, being used so far without causing too many casualties, probably for experiments. Now it has been put into practice. If we look carefully at the map of Turkey, we will see that it is furrowed by gas and oil pipelines, this being actually one of the goals, their destruction. But 10 seconds before the occurrence of the so-called earthquake, the Turks closed these pipelines. In addition, 24 hours before the earthquake, 10 countries withdrew their ambassadors from Turkey. 5 days before its occurrence, the Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a travel warning for Romanian citizens in Turkey, although there was no danger, as did other countries. By killing people, they served their interests. The maps shown on all television channels show that there was no epicenter, but the line with thousands of earthquakes. You have to read the rest of the article. That is the only segment I'm going to read today. If this gets cut off, Europeans will kill each other, frankly, because they won't be able to afford anything. They won't be able to heat, they won't be able to cool, they won't be able to travel. Okay? We are in a spiritual war. And we cannot expect to get anything for our labours. The government aren't going to come and save us. The word comity means a group of nations working together for the common good. And if you insert RNA into the word comity, what do you get? You are in World War III. It's happening all around you right now. You must wake up. It was inevitable. And perhaps you will understand the significance of what I'm going to share tonight. It's difficult to know where to start. I have to find one other image first, which I couldn't find earlier. So you're going to have to talk amongst yourselves. Um, but by way of an introduction, that's where I want to start it. But I'm pretty certain that you will understand explicitly what we are talking about here, that it is a reality, that you can do these things and much more. Terrible, terrible, terrible weapons. But also the gift that has been taken from us in this particular cycle of rediscovery. As I said at the beginning in March 2017, they will stop at nothing. They will use the scorched earth policy. We're in one part of the game. Don't let them bring in the phony alien invasion. Let's not have that. None of that game, please. Right? Before what happened over the last recent years, I wrote a Steemit blog detailing how I thought it was going to go down. But this is next level. They are literally going through with it. So you guys have to know the implicit truth, the alpha and omega. You have to know. And I'm going to do the best I can tonight. Like I say, this is a difficult thing for me to do. Okay? But I do want O-Day morning, not morning. You can talk amongst yourselves about where the Coptic Christian faith came from and what you think you're seeing on this screen here. They are real. Tesla was not making this up. The truth of it is there. It's there. This happens, right? This is a real photo, right? And Lockheed Martin is saying, but they just want to patent it. They want to patent it for weapons and for energy for them, but not for you, not for the little people, not so you can do what was given to us by God, right? What we should have a right, okay? But do not expect anyone else to do this for you. We have to do it. We have to do what we can with our capabilities. And I'm telling you, if we don't get this right, it won't matter what you have. It won't matter what you have. Bye-bye. So we have to educate people. We have to educate people. God is real. God is real. And he doesn't intend for us to suffer. But this is the great power. This is the great power. And we should not use it in the way that I believe we're in danger of it being used. Because it has the risk at war levels to knock the Earth off its magnetic anchor and to destroy the planet, as it says in the Salvatore Paya patents. You know, that's what it can do. It can crack planets. You know, we literally are living in a time where we have the technology to end all suffering and poverty. All suffering and poverty and wars. We have that technology. And you should now explicitly understand it. But it was there in 1992. The Russians had actually taken Tesla seriously, and they clearly know what they're talking about. And honestly, if they are publishing things like this, do you think they would publish that if that's something that they didn't have something well beyond? Do you really think that, you know, this would be even accessible to anyone if this was not a thing that they'd gone well beyond? Do you think that Lockheed Martin would have published their patent saying we can do single bath thermal extraction, we can create matter wave solitons, which are made of superconducting electrons, which are produced by Shoulders emitters, which are the same exact thing as the Tesla death ray diagrams from 1933, 1934, right? A little mercury into a vacuum with a high pulse rate, or a fed tungsten wire. Same thing. Sorry. 2032 to 2034, I think the real problem will occur. I'm sorry, you know, I got kids and everything, so We have to get this right for humanity. And they want to do another big book burning. You can see how they're controlling and trying to get the internet into a state where no one can share anything. We've got a very small window to get this out. Very, very small. It's all hands on deck. I've had to fly under the radar, under the radar, under the radar. you know, um, and to those people that are watching that know about this technology, how could you? How could you watch people suffer and die? How could you watch this charade that's going on in the world right now? How could you? You are messing with God's toolbox, and you are doing it to harm God's children. God didn't want that. Get off your high horse, stop acting psychopathically, and help us. Good wins in the end.